That was the first time I had said I love you to somebody.
Wow.
Was it the first time you said I love you to somebody? And I was like, oh my God, who is this corn-fed Midwestern man who just takes off his shirt and jumps in a lake?
I saw yours, and for some reason I was like, I feel like I need to talk to this kid.
And did you think I was cute?
Yes, I did.
And so for a Catholic priest to like empower me and say, hey, you should come out.
Like live your truth, essentially.
Live your truth.
Yeah.
And know God's love. Okay,
It'd be amazing if more people who studied theology had that same viewpoint.
And a lot of the men's floors removed the shower curtains to promote
Electively.
bonding.
Welcome to Who's Your Daddy podcast, where we are manifesting becoming dads and trying to make it all happen through the process of surrogacy. We are your hosts and husbands, Matthew and Michael, and today we are going to talk about
how we met.
Us. We're going to talk about us today.
Yeah, the beginnings.
We're just going to start at the beginning.
Can I just say that intro was really well thought out and very nice, and I would just like to compliment you on that because it was really beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I love it. No, it's true. I think like we're not just manifesting becoming dads, but we're actively going through the process of surrogacy. We're actively going through
the process. We're just not dads yet. And so I feel like we're one planning, but then I'm also like, we're starting a podcast about surrogacy and manifesting the fact that at some point we will be dads and we won't let this process totally destroy us.
Right. This is not just a podcast about surrogacy, but it's about the process of becoming parents through non-traditional means, different ways of becoming parents. So, I mean, we're a gay couple. We met almost 10 years ago, and 9 years ago. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I don't know. I think like since we're in the midst of everything, there's going to be a lot of learning through this. So we wanted a place where we can not only sit down and discuss things as a couple, because we now need to schedule time to do that.
Not wrong.
But also like give us a reason to research and learn and talk to experts and actually like figure out what is the deal with surrogacy, what is the deal with adoption, why are these processes like so complicated or difficult for a lot of people to reach and to do, and it's sometimes it's not accessible, but there's also a lot of wonderful things that happen in miracles, and there's a lot to discuss.
There are a lot of happy stories. I think there are also a lot of sad stories or just like long struggles. And I think that this is such a hard process to talk about through our other platforms where like a short form video isn't going to be able to explain everything in like 2 minutes, or a YouTube video we usually try and cut down to like 8 to 10 minutes, and they can just get really
and you can't
heavy.
Necessarily like, I don't know, you can't condense this down into an Instagram caption. And so for those of you who like do follow us on Instagram or TikTok, like I am so excited that we're actually sitting down and doing this, because it's a way for us to break the mold of showing up as like a little 2-sentence bite or a little funny sketch or whatever that's popping up on your feed. So this is like, oh, you actually get to know us. We get to sit down and have a conversation and talk for a little bit. So
exactly.
I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah. And I think that as we've gone through this process, so we've been doing this process for over a year, right?
Yeah.
And
since January 2022 is when we were like actually sitting down and talking to surrogacy agencies, and we started the process.
Yeah. And as we go through the process, we've had so many questions that we've asked other people. And then as we just discuss the process with our friends and family, they come up with question after question after question after question. And they're so fascinated by the process. And I just assumed that as you grew up and you became an adult, these are just like things that you started to know about, or you knew people who went through it. But like so many people that have kids or are years and years older than me are just fascinated.
Just have no idea
by this process and how much time it takes, how much thought it takes, how many steps there are, how expensive it is.
I am also continually surprised. I think we both are, because we didn't know going into it like what it would take or what. There's surprises around every corner. So
But anyways, that's just forecasting all the things that we're going to be able to discuss. But let's get down to us.
Wow, let's get to the nitty gritty.
I mean, your favorite
the
topic,
down and dirty.
right?
Yeah.
There's no down and dirty here.
There's a little down and dirty.
There's no down and dirty.
There's a little down and dirty. There's a little down and dirty. I mean,
What did I get
come
myself
on.
into?
We did meet online.
We did meet online. Shall we start there?
It's a tale as old as time.
If nobody knows us or is familiar with us like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
they might not know this.
I don't think so. So Michael and I did meet online, but we met in a really, I guess, like not in the traditional way of meeting online. And I say traditional in the sense of the stereotype that a lot of gay men meet on Grindr or on some kind of dating app like
Correct.
Tinder and whatever. But that is not how Michael and I met. Actually, when we met, Tinder had just come out over that last year, and like
And Grindr.
Yeah,
I think Grindr was a thing.
Grindr was a thing.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, it was like I was getting whispers of it, but I was also attending a Christian university, so I wasn't hearing that many whispers of it, but maybe just like a little subtle, like, hi, Grindr's here. A little bit. So I was a Tinder user, and I did start going on like a few dates. And you started...
A few.
A few. Just a few.
A few.
I mean, okay. The dating scene at my university was very underground. If you were gay and out, then like you weren't really supposed to flaunt it around campus. It was more so like, let's date in the shadows, or let's like hook up in this broom closet here.
I thought you were going to say, let's date in the showers.
I mean, that's a whole nother story, because we also had floors that were we didn't have any fraternities or sororities, but all of the floors on the campus, like in the dorms, you had to live on the dorms for at least 2 years. And I was an RA, a resident advisor, so I lived on the dorm floors all 4 years. And a lot of the men's floors removed the shower curtains to promote
Electively.
bonding amongst the men
Not
of the
bondage.
floor.
Bonding.
Well, I mean, it's how however you want to turn it is fine. But like, geez, there was so oh my God, there's so many
We
problematic
might need
things.
to have an entire episode just based on like Matthew's college experience and like how homoerotic it was, even though it was like straight Christian.
The closeted stories of a straight Christian university,
Yeah.
of a homophobic Christian
So
university.
anyways, you were going to this Christian university.
Yes, and I was a resident advisor. I was also on YouTube. I started YouTube in like 2007. I built an audience. I didn't build anything. I posted videos, and I had some people who watched me, and it was
You
fun.
grew up following.
Grew up following. Sure.
For reference, YouTube like was invented in 2005.
Yeah.
Correct.
YouTube was invented by Chad and Steve in 2005. Google obtained it in 2007.
Did you meet Chad
in
and Steve?
No, I did not meet
Oh,
Chad
okay.
and Steve.
I thought maybe you were like so original.
Oh my God,
That maybe you would have met
it would
them.
make my day to meet Chad and Steve. They like invented the internet in a way.
Literally. Social media, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
basically. Well, no, MySpace was out, but
Oh, that's
Tom
true.
did that.
That's true.
old Tom.
R.I.P.
He's not dead. What are you talking about?
MySpace.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
MySpace
Tom.
is dead. No, Tom.
Oh.
Sorry, Tom. I did not mean to spread that misinformation.
Anyway, I was on YouTube, and I was continually feeling like my life outside of YouTube was out. I was coming out like to friends and to family in 2013, and I was still acting like the straight college kid on YouTube because I was in the closet for many years, and I didn't feel like it was safe for me to come out at my university or like in my friend circles. And I came to this place in 2013 where I was like, oh my God, I need to do this now. I had started coming out to close friends and found a community of accepting people, and I built my confidence up. I talked to my parents. I told them that I was gay. They accepted me. It was a big emotional moment. I actually had a conversation with a Catholic priest
Yeah.
over the phone. My dad like set up this call because he really respected this Catholic priest, and he was like, I think you should talk to him. And I'm like, okay, Dad, I don't really want to, but okay, I will. So I called him, and the Catholic priest was asking me about like my dating history and things like that. And I'm like, this is kind of weird, but like,
Literally, I cannot believe that you said yes to that.
I know.
I would feel so uncomfortable.
I didn't feel like I honestly
Had a choice?
I didn't feel like I had a choice
Oh my
because I had
gosh.
just come out to my dad and he was like, "Well, I want you to talk to this priest." Like, what am I
It's amazing.
Yeah. And I didn't
But
want
it
to
ended
just
up
like shut
well.
him down. Yeah. So when I was on this conversation with the priest, he said it is better to live with integrity than to live a lie. And he said you will never know God's love if you continue to live a lie. And that to me was so powerful. And it really like it stuck with me because I felt empowered in the sense of like being at this Christian university. Granted, it wasn't Catholic, but I'm talking to a Catholic priest where like for many of them, they believe that, you know, you're going to hell if you're gay.
Right.
And so for a Catholic priest to like empower me and say, hey, you should come out,
Like live your truth, essentially.
live your truth,
Yeah.
and know God's love. I was like, okay,
It'd
well,
be amazing if more people who studied theology had that same viewpoint.
yeah, definitely. But that brought me to the point of coming out. And so I made a YouTube video with my coming out story, talked about the whole thing. It's still online. I posted it up and then it started getting shared pretty rapidly. Good friend Tyler Oakley
Thank you,
shared
Tyler.
it. Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Shared it on Tumblr back in the Tumblr days, RIP. And
Oh my gosh.
and I think that's how it landed in your lap, basically. That's
No.
like what made it popular to
Well,
get on the searches.
Potentially, yes. So
Yeah.
maybe that's what put it in the sidebar of like suggested videos. But so anyways, that was what, 2013?
2013.
So that was like spring.
Yep, that was like end of May. Beginning of May 2013.
I was dating a woman.
I know very little about your dating life
Like
before meeting me.
sometime early to mid 2013. And
Oh, so it was multiple months.
anyways, well, I don't even remember how
Did
many
she
months.
want to be our surrogate?
I don't think so. But I remember that it was like, this was like the third woman that I had dated in college. And I like told myself, like I just knew that it was like, if this doesn't work out, like we get along
This is
so
it.
well. Like it was like a this is it sort of thing. And I'm
Yes.
just like,
Giving
there's no
yourself
way.
an ultimatum.
It was an ultimatum.
Uh-huh.
I had also like just found out or was finding out soon that I was going to be accepted into dental school. And for me, for whatever reason, it was like that relationship didn't work out. And then I got accepted into school and I was like, okay, if shit hits the fan, I'm going to go to dental school. I'm going to be a dentist. I'm going to be okay. Like I'll be able to support myself.
Do you kind of feel like you were getting your independence at that point? Like, hey, I'm in dental school. I don't have to prove myself anymore.
A little bit. Like I feel like that gave me some like credibility.
Yeah.
Right? Like I wasn't
okay.
just like a college student or I wasn't just like a college student with like a music, because I had a music degree, but I wanted to go to dental school. So I wasn't just like this kid who got a music degree after 5 years and like didn't know what he was going to do with his life. And like maybe he's confused. You know, I just didn't want anything to like be sort of like a weak point where somebody could like think,
Right.
oh, maybe
yeah.
this is just a phase, or maybe you don't really think this.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
So
yeah.
I think it was like the confluence of those things.
Being
And
a
then-
Midwest boy as you were.
Yes. And anyway, so then I started my like whole journey, which was coming out to like first friends, then like close family who I knew it was gonna like go well with.
Mhm.
And I have 7 siblings, so going through all the siblings and trying to tell them in person like took a while.
Yeah.
But I remember during that process, like trying to then immerse myself into this like community that I tried to like push away for so long, right?
Oh,
so I'm
yeah.
I'm on like HuffPost LGBT or like Queerty, and I'm like trying to like figure out what the heck's going on in like the community, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I stumbled across this article about Mark and Ethan, and it was like
R.I.P.
I know RIP the relationship,
They're
not the people.
They are alive and doing well, but
Yes.
they are no longer dating.
Correct.
As far as I know.
But there was an article about like a YouTube video of them describing how they met
Yeah.
or something, and then that stumbled into like
So you were just going down these rabbit holes, basically.
so it was a rabbit hole of like gay news, Mark and Ethan, oh, YouTube, what's this YouTube vlog
Sorry,
thing?
I just love that Mark and Ethan is like wrapped into gay news in this
It was
2013, 2014
Absolutely
internet
was.
sphere.
So but then that led me to like, then it was YouTube, and then I was in
Yeah.
like gay YouTube universe, right? And then
Uh-huh.
and then coming out videos. So now I'm watching like all these coming out videos, and YouTube's like boop boop boop. You might like this one. You might like this. You know, like
Connor
sidebar.
Franta, Troy Sivan,
I don't
Matthew
even know.
Schuler.
I don't know if Connor Franta was out then. You came out before Connor.
Oh, I did.
You
yeah.
did, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
But anyways, then yours came up, and it was very like different than some of the other ones, I think, because the other ones were just like explaining it, and they were sort of like, you know, like, hey, this is the story, yada yada, which is kind of how mine ended up being.
Right.
But yours was like very raw, very emotional, very like meaningful, I think. And you were planning on going to medical school at the time, and you were in college, and I was in college or like in between.
I still have never watched my coming out video back, by the way.
Really?
I've never watched it.
I think I watched mine like once, I guess, because I edited mine.
Mhm.
Yours wasn't edited. It was one take wonder.
It was one take. I showed a couple friends before posting it, and then
But you didn't watch it with them.
I did, but I never watched it back since I posted it.
Yeah,
So I watched it back,
no.
like, and I was like, oh, I don't know, and I'd be kind of like walking around pacing, like I don't really want to be watching this. Kind of makes me nervous.
I don't like watching any video that we
Oh.
post over again.
Well, this is gonna be hard to edit then.
In like 10 years, I feel like I will look back on them and be like,
Yeah.
oh, that's great.
Same,
like,
but
what
not
a
my
great
coming out
trip."
video.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm like, it's okay. It's out there. It's for other people, visibility, etc. Help, all the things. Other people's coming out videos helped me. Hopefully, mine helped somebody. But anyway,
You saw mine, and then you decided.
I saw yours, and for some reason, I was like, I feel like I need to talk to this kid. And
Did you think I was cute?
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yes, of course.
Wow, I was like crying.
I mean,
In
but
the
that
video.
well, yes, but it wasn't. Sorry, that your coming out video.
You
I
can
wasn't
be
like
cute and crying.
I
You
wasn't
can be
like-
cute and crying. It's okay. It's okay.
I wasn't like, ooh, wow, he's so cute during your coming out video. Then I think I then stumbled into
Yeah.
older video. Like I followed
Uh-huh.
into your YouTube like video library.
Got it. Yeah.
And Instagram and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway,
So you wanted to talk to me,
I
and then
did.
you messaged me on Tumblr.
I messaged you like everywhere.
I guess so. Yeah.
I think there was no way for me to message you on Twitter because you didn't follow me or something. That was a thing. Like you couldn't slide into somebody's DMs on Twitter if they didn't follow you. And then Instagram was like the same, I think.
Yeah.
But there wasn't the message system that exists today didn't exist then.
Right.
So then I was like, oh my gosh, the only like public way to message anybody was Tumblr. And so I wrote this like message of like, maybe we'll post it, of like, hey, I don't even know how to log into Tumblr anymore. Of like, hey, this is who I am. We sound like we have similar stories. Would love to chat. Because I had also recently started like a YouTube channel of like just trying to do some fun stuff. I was on a break and I was like, I don't know if I can continue doing this in dental school. Like, is that weird? Is that unprofessional? And he was going to go to med school. So I was like, well, you've been doing this for years. I'm really curious. Like, are you going to keep doing it in med school? Everybody was saying to delete social media at that point.
Yeah. It
If
was
you were going to be a
big
professional
thing.
at all, they were like, wipe your existence off the internet. Like, it's going
Right.
to hurt you and not, you know.
People were so scared of the internet back then in the sense of
I mean,
it
they
like
still are.
ruining your career.
Yeah, that's true.
But just like anything online, like, oh, if you have a public Facebook profile, anybody could go on there
I
and
specifically
dig.
remember them saying, like, if you're applying for a job and you have a picture of you and you're underage and you're holding like an alcoholic beverage, like they will not hire you. Like
now
you
it's
will,
like, oh, you're a businessman. Well, how many followers do you have on Instagram?
it's literally like, oh, you want to do XYZ in any sort of like media marketing, advertising, acting, modeling
It's just
career.
like that Black Mirror episode.
It's just like, oh, sorry if you haven't built up an online presence. Like,
Holy crap!
I know.
How backwards.
So, anyways, doesn't respond to Tumblr. Then
I didn't see it, by the way.
Well, I
It's
mean,
not that
who
I was
checks
igno-
their Tumblr messages? It
I
was a shot in the
did,
dark.
but it was more like, I was more using Tumblr like a dating app. Let's be honest.
dating app?
Yeah, I was looking for cuties.
On Tumblr?
Yeah, and it's not like I didn't think you were cute. I just didn't know you were messaging me because I wasn't following you. And like,
But Tumblr, everybody was like just reposting like cute, like ethereal,
or like Teen Wolf fan fiction, which is
Oh, I
the
was not
rabbit
into
hole
that.
I was down.
I was not into that at
Oh
all.
my god, I was. Sorry.
Tangent.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the universe I was living in at the time.
So I guess how everything then culminated was a year after Matthew came out. This would have been April.
2014.
April 2014, 6 months like after I came out, yada yada.
Came out to your close friends and family, at least.
Correct.
Yeah. But you got to the point where you're like, okay, now let's maybe do something with YouTube. Because you were on YouTube at that point. You had posted several videos. You were
And-
starting to be a YouTuber.
Ish, yes. Starting to be a YouTuber with 400 followers. Correct. Everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah. I was like, get it.
And I knew that I wanted to post a coming out video. Like I was pretty confident, one, that I wanted to do it. Two, that is how I would help disseminate the information to like the Facebook mass of people that like I'm not going to call or message individually.
Right.
You know, when you're back then, you have like what, 700-800 friends on Facebook or
Totally.
something. You're like, I'm not going to tell all of you, but here's a video. So I knew that I wanted to do it. And then you posted a 1 year after.
Exactly. I posted that 1 year after coming out video, and it was just kind of like my reflection on the past year of being out at a Christian university where you were not supposed to be out or gay, and kind of like the pros and the cons that I had experienced up until that point, and like the hardships and the just the things that I was dealing with and what I was processing throughout the time. And I encouraged everybody and anybody, if they had not posted a coming out video yet, to do so if they were in a place in their life where they felt like they safely could and that it would be beneficial to them. So Michael saw that video.
I did.
And he was, I think you were the first person to post a video response to
Well,
it.
I think I did it within like 24 hours.
Yeah, you
Or
did.
48 hours.
Within 48 hours at least.
I think I
At the very most.
filmed
I mean,
it, edited it, and
yeah,
I
it
either.
was insane.
How many days are there in April?
No, you posted it like on May 1st.
I
and
posted it on May 1st, but yours was April 30th.
30th, yeah.
So is
Last
there
day
30?
of April. So you posted it the very next day.
Literally, okay, so yeah.
Yeah, which
less
is why I
than
was so
24 hours.
surprised when you tweeted me and you're like, hey, check out my coming out video. And I clicked on it, and you even used, I made these little like
banner?
overlay banners and graphics to put on it and be like, my coming out journey.
I thought it was like hashtag this is my story.
Hashtag this is my
Is that
story.
right?
Yep. Take notes.
All the memes.
It was like hashtag this is my story, and then it was so cute. And then you had your coming out video, and you're like, oh my god, your eyes were so like auburn and beautiful. And I just remember like looking at it and being like, this man is so handsome. Who is he? I was just like butterflies. Like, I don't know
Aw.
what kind of camera you had for that, but it was, oh my god, that lighting.
Literally like a Canon ES 100L or
Yes,
something.
but at the time it was revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
And I was like, he is cute. And so I started doing a little bit of stalking, was clicking on your videos. You have this one video on your YouTube channel where you have your shirt off and you jump off of this like dock or boat into
Yes.
the lake. And you're just like muscular and you're like your little summer body from your drum corps days. And I was like, oh my god, who is this corn-fed Midwestern man who just takes off his shirt and jumps in a lake?
That was like a challenge with like this college group of anatomy interns where we like, you know, like your lab intern or whatever,
Yeah.
or what were they called? Lab TA, teaching assistant, where they would like teach the lab portion of the class. Anyways, it was all of us, and we called it the Cremaster Open.
Cream?
The Cremaster.
Cream master or
Right?
cremaster? I don't know. But at that
Anyways,
point, I had
Look it up.
like never met a gay Midwesterner.
Had you been out of Oregon?
Not,
Like,
I mean, yes.
had you seen
I
the middle of the country?
No, I had never been
Yeah.
to the Midwest. I had taken a train through it, but I'd never been to the Midwest. And
Wow.
so I was kind of fascinated by you.
I'm quite fascinating.
You're quite fascinating. Being this like Seattle boy, and I don't know, I was like, oh my God. He's probably like, like jockey and like so not Seattle grunge, like not the Capitol Hill gay who like is going to the clubs and stuff. Like this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
person looks like he has things figured out in life. Like,
Oh.
whoa. You look very adult. I was like, wow, this man, he's so mature. And I don't know, just like the little bits that I got from your coming out video and from what
Mhm.
I could like find on your YouTube channel doing a little bit of stalking within like a 20-minute period. And then
Just furiously
yeah,
typing on
just furiously. And then I tweeted you back in the most flirtatious way I could.
Anyways, that is how we ultimately connected, is that I tweeted it at you,
Mm-hmm.
tagged you, whatever, and then you retweeted it or replied or something, and I was like, got him. I was like,
Hook,
got his
line, and
attention.
sinker.
And then I think somehow
Bring me back to the days of
connected
like,
on Facebook.
I'm just having a flashback to this like loose flirting situation on Twitter, on Tumblr, on YouTube. Back when the days were like, I don't want to say
It
more
was
simple.
simpler.
Yeah.
It was simpler times.
It was just like cute tweets back and forth, like little winky faces. And oh my God.
So eventually then, I mean, you'd seen me via Twitter, YouTube, and then I somehow connected with you on Facebook.
It was that night.
and
Same
I was
day.
like, type, hi, would love to chat sometime, whatever. And you responded immediately with your number.
Yeah. So this man,
You're like, I was like, I'm a stranger, but okay.
he has you okay, for one, you had the audacity to look up I am a stranger at this point, and you looked up a stranger on Facebook in 2014, which is almost called stalking back then. And then you messaged me, and then I had the audacity to be like, yes, accept your friend request. I will message you back. And here is my phone number. This is how you reach me.
I had a few years of YouTube videos to like confirm like an idea of who you were.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't feel that uncomfortable. And I mean, I think that's maybe more understandable now. Like people feel like they get to know people online. It's like when they see them in person, they're not that surprised about how they act or who they are. And they probably feel more comfortable meeting them than somebody that they've never seen talk or make a video or post an Instagram post or something.
But I feel like things moved so quickly after this point because I mean, I messaged you back. I gave you my phone number. We immediately started texting, and it was like, we should talk on Skype.
Yes.
Which is funny because you had my phone number and I had your phone number, but we were still like, let's Skype. So
I know. Was FaceTime a thing though?
I don't no, I don't
I
like
don't think FaceTime existed.
if it did, then it wasn't as reliable on like my college Wi-Fi.
That's
As
so interesting.
Yeah.
Because we would just otherwise
We would
just
totally get on
FaceTime
Skype.
now, right?
right, but we were on Skype instead.
Yes, we did.
So we got on Skype that night and we just started talking, and we talked for
Like,
over an hour
I
at
thought it was
least.
like 2 hours.
Yeah, probably 2 hours. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
We were just
It was
chatting away.
all a blur. I was all titterpated.
What does that
Twitter-pated?
mean?
I don't know. This means like hot and nervous. Were you nervous?
I mean, I guess like kind of. It didn't feel like there was a lot to lose in the situation of like meeting somebody and maybe they were weird or they didn't like me or whatever, and it's fine, but we like talked
Yeah.
and so it
That makes
didn't seem like it was like super risky or anything.
right.
But yeah, I think anytime you meet somebody for the first time or you're talking for the first time, then yeah, that I could be a little bit nervous. I wasn't like super nervous though.
The funny thing is that even though I feel like I was maybe subtly flirting, or I thought I was being coy and not being like super direct with where my feelings were, or that I thought you were cute or that I liked you. And we just never said that we liked each other in more than a friend's way until we met in person.
Right. Well, and then that was many. It was like weeks of like daily Skypes, daily texts, daily Snapchat stories, yada yada
Yeah.
yada. And yes, it was like a little bit flirty, but it wasn't ever very like overtly like said out loud.
No, I wasn't like eggplant emoji, squirting water
No, we were
emoji.
both very
train.
innocent, Catholic, newly out boys.
Ooh. Sorry. Anyway, so we were chatting on Skype over the phone every day. And honestly, since that time when you posted that coming out video as a video response to mine, there's never been a day that we have not talked since that day, which is freaking insane to me.
Unless you were mad at me.
Unless I was mad at you. Yes, but those days don't count. Anyway, so I think it was about 6 or 7 days after we had started talking. So this is the second week of May 2014. And we were chatting one day over like, we should meet up sometime. Like, let's hang out. And I know we live like 1,500, 2,000 miles away from each other, but like, how can we make this happen? And then you brought up, oh, there's a YouTube gathering in August in Seattle. Maybe I can come out and visit then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, that sounds great. But you know what would be even better is if you came out, I don't know, like, what are you doing at the beginning of June?
I think the way that the text read was, what if I want you to come out sooner?
Yeah, it did. It sounded a little bit like that.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, well, I was planning on going to this convention. It's called Vlogger Fair. I don't even know if they still have that.
They don't.
But I was like, oh, I'll just come out in August. Like, it'll be great. We'll get to meet. Super convenient. There's like something to do. But then he prodded a little bit, right? And was just like, well, what if I want to do sooner? And I was like, oh,
okay, let's look at dates and figure something out.
So I figured out, I guess it was really, I don't know if it was just that it happened really quick. I think it was that you were available that weekend.
I was.
Which is why it happened so fast.
Yeah, it was like the weekend before finals week. And I was like, my finals aren't going to be super intense. Will be a little bit intense, but I can do this. I got it. So I was like trying to study in advance, and I worked really hard for those 3 weeks leading up to that first weekend of June, to like prepare myself and make sure everything was ready. But then it was like neither of us were really financially ready for figuring anything out long distance, because I mean, you were literally going to American Red Cross to donate blood so that you could have enough money to purchase your ticket.
It was a plasma clinic.
A plasma clinic.
I was donating plasma.
Yeah. So you decided to buy a ticket to Seattle.
I did.
You bought the plane ticket.
It was not cheap.
And then what happened?
I think I was supposed to leave on like June 3rd.
It was that late? Oh my God. See, I don't remember anything.
I was supposed to leave June 3rd, and there's this huge storm. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the huge storm that happened.
The huge storm that came into Omaha the night that I was flying out, and my flight was like delayed, and then they were like, just kidding, we're shutting down the entire airport. It's like flooded. Like the literal runway was like flooding. And I was like, of course, like the day that I'm going to fly out, this happens. And I wasn't sure if they were going to open the airport in the morning. I was like, well, I don't know.
So did you go to like another airport, or did you stay in Omaha?
Of course. I was like, I called and I was like, are they going to open the airport in the morning? And they're like, we don't know. Like, we don't have anything for sure because we don't know what the weather's going to do. And so I was like, well, I need to go to Seattle.
Committed to meet this boy.
I committed to meet this boy, and I need to go to Seattle now. So I asked if I could fly out of Sioux Falls, because that's like close to where I grew up, and it was 3 hours away from
just 3
Omaha.
hours north.
I mean, it's
totally
not like
fine.
that big of a deal, but I don't remember. I think I left that night.
Yeah, you basically drove through the tornado in order to get to Sioux Falls.
Well, I was like, this isn't going to be that bad to drive through, I guess. I don't even remember.
It
I
was
guess it
kinda
was kind of
bad.
stormy. I don't know.
It was pretty bad.
don't-
I remember you sending me pictures and I was like, oh my God.
I can't remember if
But-
I drove that night or the next morning.
I think you drove that night. And then you maybe stayed at your sister's.
Oh man, yeah, maybe. But anyways, then I caught a flight out of Sioux Falls and somehow got to Seattle. To Chicago. I don't remember. Anyways, doesn't matter. I got there.
And I went and picked you up from the airport. And that's when all of the magical things started to happen.
You were glowing.
Yeah.
Sparks were flying out of your ears.
I made a sign for you that said, "Welcome to Seattle, Michael." And it had like the Seattle skyline drawn on it really poorly, but I still drew
It
it.
was gorgeous.
Thank you. We still have the sign. We kept it.
It's somewhere.
You kept it.
It's somewhere.
Thankfully. Yeah, it's somewhere in a shoebox or something. And so right there, like we embrace in the lobby of the airport at baggage claim. We get in my car, we're driving back, and I had this whole plan for us for the whole weekend. I'm like, there's so many things that we're going to do. We drove immediately to Capitol Hill. I parked outside of one of my favorite cafes. I was like, I'm going to show him real Seattle coffee. So we both got an iced coffee. Of course, we got an iced coffee. And then we started walking down to Pike Market because I'm like, well, we'll just walk through the entire city. And if you've ever been to Seattle, Capitol Hill and Pike Market are not close. They are not close together. It is like a 40-minute walk to go from Capitol Hill down to Pike Place Market.
It was far.
Yeah, it was a lot, but I'm like, this gives us a chance to get to know each
It's
other.
okay, we were young.
And it was a nice day. It was cute.
Oh, it was really nice.
It was beautiful out.
Yeah. I didn't even think about the fact that it was like early June and now like living in the Northwest that could have been like rainy and dreary.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It was nice the whole weekend.
But we were walking into Pike Market and I wanted to show you them like throwing the fish. You know, they throw the fish and they catch the fish and it's a big thing and everyone cheers.
He was like, here.
There's so many people in this crowded area. Please hold my hand while I walk
Hold
you
my
there.
hand. And I was like, okay.
I know. And man, that was smooth, right?
You were so smooth.
But the thing is that once I like grabbed your hand, I didn't want to let go.
Didn't let go.
So I just was like, at this point, I'm blushing. And we're like walking through Pike Market, and I'm just like, I have this stupid grin on my face.
You
but
did.
you
Very
can't,
stupid.
You couldn't see my face because I'm not facing you. I'm like
Correct.
guiding you through the crowd of people. And we go down to this like comic book store where they have these these cardboard cutouts of famous people, and I showed you my favorite ones, which was like the One Direction group. Do you remember those cardboard cutouts? And
I knew your brand at that point.
Yeah, I was like, this is my favorite.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah.
Niall. And then we walked outside and there's this guitar player playing what's it called? It's the Google Dolls Iris. Is it called Iris?
Yes.
Yeah. Big throwback. At this point, we're still holding hands and we're listening to the Goo Goo Dolls. And I thought it was a really cute moment. And it's one of those, I would say, core memories because it sticks out in my mind so vividly. We walked down to the waterfront after that, and I don't even know what we're talking about. But then we get down to the docks or the piers, and we're standing on the piers. We're looking out. We're looking at the skyline.
And I was feeling a certain type of way at this point.
And I think I was too.
This boy has been holding my hand
Yeah.
for like 45 minutes.
That's how they get ya. And then, what did you say to me?
I think you were like looking out at the water, and I was just like, then I put my arms kind of like up and around you, and I think I gave you kind of like a hug right from behind, and then I just was like, so when can I kiss you? And then you were like, right now. And then it was just like
I didn't say it
very
like
Notebook moments, like very Ryan Gosling, Rachel McAdams,
It was like,
fireworks, all the things.
like unleashing the floodgates.
Yep, I think Matthew like wet himself a little bit.
It's like when you open up a dam and all the water comes out.
Stop.
Sorry, I it was a lot. Like I I had kissed other boys before, previous to that, but it felt like a first time.
Oh,
You know, it was one of those first time moments of like, oh my God. I just like, there was definitely butterflies,
I think that's
fireworks,
true
all of
too.
it.
Like I had, you weren't like the first boy that I kissed, but at the same time, it was like, shocker. But it was one of those feelings of like, oh, this feels really good. This feels really right. This feels really like,
Yeah.
feels like a really strong connection, like immediately. I don't know.
And then we had to walk all the way back up to Capitol Hill because we were
did.
both dirt poor and we were not going to pay for an Uber or a taxi or whatever. And
I don't think we'll ever.
but the whole walk up to Capitol Hill was pretty fun because we just kept making out at different places.
Well, Matthew kept pointing and being like, I'm going to make out with you there. I'm going to make out with you there. I'm going to make out with you there. And I was like, wow, this boy went from 0 to 100 real quick.
fast.
Like, wow, he was in. I
Up
did
until
not know
this
he was that
point,
invested.
we had not even acknowledged or said anything about the fact of like being attracted to each other, about liking each other more than friends. We were very platonic in the way that we spoke to each other. And then like out of nowhere, Michael's like, oh, can I kiss you?
Out of nowhere.
Well, we were holding hands, but like platonically holding hands. Well, you know, like
I think the word is
It was-
platonic, and we were platonically.
platonically. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Like platonically holding hands.
it was cute. It was cute. It wasn't
I mean,
sexual.
Yeah, I thought it was. Oh, well, no.
It didn't feel sexual.
It was play.
And then
Platonic.
like as soon as you kissed me, I was like, oh, I hit puberty and now we're making out everywhere. And that like really changed the tone of
Yeah.
the weekend together.
It did.
So I bring back this boy from the Midwest to my Christian University dormitory, and like I am the resident advisor. I'm like, this is my friend. He's staying with me this weekend. I'm like, I don't know how I got away with this stuff because like I had come out on campus at this point. Like people knew I was gay.
That's true.
And I'm like bringing this boy who
Which
I
is
met
funny because
online.
any other campus, it like would not be a big deal other than like a Christian university.
where
Like,
you have these very rigid rules about like lifestyle expectations and how you're not supposed to be sexual or kiss or do anything with
or have anybody like over that you might be interested
sexually
in.
attracted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the rules were not clear for same gender attraction at that point because the campus had not acknowledged that gay people exist. So
We love when ignorance plays in our favor.
yeah, I was like, well, this is just my friend. He's just spending the night. We're just bros, being bros. And
It's exactly what we were.
so everything was like wonderful and great and beautiful. And then it was the second day that you were there. And the second day that you were there, we decided to, well, I was going to skip class and play hooky. And then we were going to take a boat over to Bambridge Island and experience Bambridge Island and have a cute day. So we went over there, we got on the boat, we went across, we were walking around, we were like, oh, this is bougie, but this is really cute. I like it. We got back on the boat and we started to make our way back. And at this point, we had been gone for like 6 hours, just like cruising around. And I remember I got a text message on the boat on our way back to Seattle. And it was from a friend. And my friend was like, I'm hiding on campus. There's an active shooter. And I was like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? And all of a sudden, all these text messages just started pouring in from friends of mine who were on campus and they were hiding and they were like asking, are you okay? Are you on campus? Where are you? And granted, I'm a resident advisor, so I have a whole floor of guys who I care deeply about. And I mean, that was like my family, you know? And I was just, my heart sank to my stomach because I didn't know where my friends were or where anybody from my floor was. And I didn't know how serious the situation was on campus. And my phone was at what, like 2%, 3%. It was low battery.
Oh, that's right.
And we saw the SWAT cars going down the highway.
Because we were on the ferry, right?
We were on the
yeah,
ferry
we were on
and
the
we're
ferry.
looking at the skyline of Seattle.
I think
and
coming back.
there was this highway that runs just like right across the, like right in front of the skyline. And we saw the SWAT cars just going down.
Mm-hmm.
It's sirens on, everything, and everybody on the boat's looking and pointing and like, what's going on? And my right then my phone dies,
Mm.
and
I forgot
was
about that.
just like, what do we do? What do we do? That night I had work at that restaurant in Capitol Hill.
Oh,
I couldn't get
yeah.
off of my shift, and I was supposed to be working at this restaurant. Um, and so I'm like, oh my God, I have to get back to campus though. And you didn't know what to do either because it was like, we can't go back to campus right now. This, like, literally the SWAT team's going, we don't know what's happening. We don't know if the active shooter's still active, if anybody's injured, or if it's even safe to go back. So what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to,
Did we charge your phone like somehow?
we figured out how to like get a hold of somebody either through your phone, or like I remembered somebody's number
Mhm.
and asked them to look someone up, and then I like was able to get on the phone with somebody via your phone and kind of like make a plan and figure out how we can get back to campus and what to do. So we ended up getting back to campus that night. I only took a half shift because I remember halfway through I was literally breaking down because the people I was serving at that restaurant, like there was families I was serving at that restaurant and they were talking about the shooting. And
Oh yeah.
I'm
Well,
sitting there
yeah,
like
makes
filling
sense.
their glasses, and I'm just like, I cannot be here right now. Like I need
Yeah.
to go back. I need to be with my floor. So I meet you back on campus and we go to this candlelight vigil, and we're talking just before the candlelight vigil, and I remember I just break down. I'm crying, you're holding me, and it was this really intense moment where we're like, I mean, you had just flown in the other
Mm-hmm.
day, and
Like 48 hours
I
ago.
hadn't even known. I'd known you for like what, a month at that point? Not even a month.
About a month.
About a month.
Like talking. Yeah.
And here we are, kind of like experiencing this really surreal school shooting moment together. Um, and we're talking about life and death. We're about to go to this candlelight vigil. Um,
Yeah, it was a lot of circumstance that like really focused, I think, the amount of time that we had together instead of just being like fun and flighty. It was sort of like, oh, this is life and this is, you know, a really deeply impactful experience and we're sharing it together like right away.
yeah, it was super intense.
Yeah.
So that completely changed everything for us.
Yeah, I think it just added like a layer of I don't know what you would call it, like a not heaviness, but like
We're taking things
layer of
seriously.
reality,
Yeah.
a layer of reality to like the weekend and maybe what this means and what our time together might mean. And anyways, I think we
completely
kind of
changed my perspective of like, oh, this is just a fun thing. Like, let's see where things go, to like, wow, this is somebody who is supporting me and who I am really interested in, and who now I feel like I don't know if I can like imagine my life without them
48 hours in.
48 hours in, like in a way. I mean, but
I mean, here we are.
yeah, the next day we were at a bar, because I think we just needed to get off campus, and
And
we're
we went
like,
and met a friend of mine
that's right, we did.
who was living there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just moved there.
And so we had these plans already set, and we're like, we're gonna go meet these people for a drink and have my friends meet your friends. And we went out, and we're just talking about everything, and we got in this kind of heavy conversation, and that's when the L word slipped through.
3 days in.
Yeah. I mean, when we say that things were moving fast, they were like, it was lightning
They're
speed.
fast.
It was so fast. Who said I love you first?
So I am pretty sure I said it. And if I'm being honest, it was sort of like I was kind of like, oh man, I love you. And then,
Really?
and then,
Oh, that's not how I remember it
and
at
then
all.
that's the way I remember. And then you were kind of like, and you like paused and
Oh,
you're like,
yes, I do remember that
I
part.
love you too. And I was like, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, why not? I love you.
Wow.
I mean, like,
Oh my God, the way that you're
I
explaining
wasn't,
this.
I wasn't uncomfortable with the like depth that you had reciprocated that with. But I think that's like sort of emblematic of like our personalities as well. It's just like
absolutely.
I'm a little bit more like lighter at first, and I think you are just ready to go in deep and with the emotions real hard,
right out on my sleeve, just showing, just bleeding out. So
but anyways, then I was like, well, yeah, I do. I mean, like we've talked for a long time. I mean, it felt like every day for a month, and then meeting in person was just sort of like that
was the first time I
solidifying.
had said I love you to somebody.
Wow.
Was it the first time you said I love you to somebody? Not to put you on the spot or anything, but I would love to know.
That is a great question. The only other time I might have said that was that like first relationship I had when I was younger.
Like with a female?
No.
Oh.
Wait. No, I did say I love you to a high school girlfriend.
Oh my God.
I did.
Whoa.
And then things went sideways.
Yeah, as they do.
She was far more invested in me than I was in her.
Oh, shocker.
Everything worked out.
Yeah.
R.I.P. that relationship.
So all that to say, like throughout that weekend, Michael was there supporting me. He was supporting like my family on the floor, my floor family. And it was just a really real time. And did we even we started discussing some pretty serious things during that weekend.
Oh, totally.
Like we're like, okay, when are you coming back next? When am I going to come visit you?
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure this out.
I think you booked your flight to Nebraska before I left.
That's right.
It was like the day that I was leaving, and you booked the flight so that we knew that we had something to look forward to.
Right.
But in between then and your flight, your car got stolen.
Yes, it did. Okay.
That's the next part of the story.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was just gonna ask if did we discuss having kids or anything during that time?
I cannot confirm or deny if we got into the family discussion.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if it came up as do you want a family someday? And I was like, oh yeah, of course I want a family someday.
We actually talked about that on Skype before you even flew out.
Mm.
These are topics that a lot of people don't bring up for many months of dating.
To me, I'm from such a big family that that was an obvious yes.
Yeah.
So, do you want a family? Do you want kids? It's like, of course, everybody wants that. I didn't realize until I was older that some people are like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I'd never met people who didn't have kids by choosing to not have kids. It was always like, they were, they just never met someone and they were single, or they tried but they weren't able to. I'd never met somebody who voluntarily was like,
interesting,
I'm not having kids.
Oh, I was surrounded by people who did not want to have kids.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just fascinating.
But it was Seattle. So, yeah. Going back to the car fiasco.
Yeah. So your car got stolen.
Yeah, that was. So Michael went back to Nebraska. And I went through my finals week, and we were still in recovery mode from the shooting and everything that had happened. So everything on campus was just kind of thrown off, and graduation it didn't really feel like graduation. It was kind of we were all still dealing with it. It was traumatic for everybody involved, on campus, off campus. Everybody knew somebody who was involved in the shooting, and it was very scary. And so we were still mourning and figuring things out at graduation, and it just kind of set the tone. That whole period of my life, it completely changed me, mentally, emotionally, psychologically.
Yeah.
It changed the wiring of my brain because of how significant the events were that all played out over that 1 month, 2 month period.
It's a lot of trauma.
It was a lot.
School shooting and your car getting stolen.
And it wasn't just the car getting stolen. I'm going to explain. It was the day after graduation. I was moving out of my dorm. And the plan was to take all of my stuff that I own, put it inside my car, and drive my car back to my parents' house in Oregon, about 4.5 hours south. And so I got everything in my car, and my plan was to drive out the next morning. So I stayed the night at my friend's house, and the next morning I was just I drove to a cafe. I stopped to go in and get coffee. I turned my car off. I locked my door, took my keys with me, went into the cafe, saw a friend in there, sat down, started talking to the friend.
Car full of everything you own.
And this is a church parking lot, by the way. This is a church parking lot in a church cafe in Seattle. I go out to the church parking lot and my car is gone.
The worst.
No sign of anybody.
I've like gone out and forgotten where I parked my car and thought that it was taken. And even for like a brief second, just the emotional like toll that takes of like, oh my God, is my car gone?
It feels like just the blood rushing out of your head, like just all the way down. I could feel like the tingly sensation go all the way down to my toes. Oh man, it's awful. So I'm like looking around frantically for it. I have my phone with me and I start calling people immediately, and I'm like, oh my God, I think my car's stolen. I can't find it anywhere. And they're like, have you looked around the block? Like, you need to start looking. And so I'm running up and down the sidewalk, and I'm next to this highway, or this, I don't know, boulevard, something between a boulevard and a highway. It's a very busy road.
Mm-hmm.
And I like run up and down the road, and I look across. There's a barrier in between the roads from like, like 4 lanes going one way, 4 lanes going the other way. You have the barrier in between. So you can't really cross the road to the other side, but I'm looking over the barrier and I see this white car, and it's too far away to know if it's mine or not, but I'm like, I think that's my car, and it's like going between other cars. And so I start like running down the road, chasing after it, like screaming. And I see it go across the bridge, and I just drop on the ground and start yelling. Like, what the hell? And just to give you context, I was doing a lot of photography at the time. So I had like 3 or 4 different hard drives in there with everything that I had created from like the beginning of high school on. I did not have copies.
Just years.
It was just
years
and years of photography, videography, all my YouTube videos, all of my projects. I had $20,000 of camera equipment in the car that I had won from YouTube as a part of this like educational program that I took part in 2013. So literally everything that I owned that had value was gone. All of my clothes, everything. And I had this plastic bag. I went to the grocery store and I got a plastic bag with like a toothbrush, some toothpaste, underwear, and just the necessities. And I took a public bus home with that bag back to Albany, Oregon. The Bolt bus.
Yeah.
Which you can get a ticket for $1, but I got mine for like $35, and it was like the last $35 in my bank account. It's like, thank you.
And you arrived back in Oregon with a grocery bag of whatever you had left on you.
And wearing the same clothes that I had worn, like...
Yeah. So I had actually called Matthew that day, and I called him right after his car got stolen, not knowing that it was stolen. And I called him and I was like, hey, how's it going? And he was like, sorry, I can't talk right now. My car just got stolen. And I was like, oh God, okay, bye. And then I was like, holy shit, like what? His car just got stolen? And then
I don't know, like what was going through your mind? You're like, I had just met this boy. He's had a school shooting. I had an STD. That's a whole nother story. In the week between.
I don't know.
We're gonna have to do a deep dive on that another time, but like,
so I'm obviously like really concerned when you hang up the phone, and I'm like, oh my God, his car just got stolen. Like, what can I do? How can I help? And then I think you called me back later, and I don't know if I'd already decided like, oh my gosh, I need to like go. I need to be there. I need to show up.
Right.
And then you called me later and kind of like debriefed me on the whole thing. And again, college, poor. I called my dad and I was like, can I have money for a flight? This boy that I just met's car got stolen and I need to fly out to Oregon so that I can be supportive. And he was like, okay, sure. And he, like,
Which I have no idea like how your parents just
my dad's
were
so chill. That's why you asked my dad. He's just like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, okay, that makes sense.
amazing.
Yeah, he was like,
Incredible.
so I think he gave me like whatever, like $500 to try and like buy this flight. And I flew out like 2 days later, a day or two later, and showed up at your parents' house, and I was like, hi,
Yeah.
I'm the boy that your son met like 2 weeks ago, and now I'm here.
He showed up at my parents' house, and then we immediately had my graduation party.
So I met his family.
The
all of his
graduation party was planned for
friends,
months. We weren't going to cancel
his
it.
aunts, his uncles.
Do you remember we went shopping and I like got a shirt for my graduation party so I had something to wear?
Correct. Yeah, it was weird. It was crazy.
Yeah. It was a really weird time because I'm seeing all of my aunts and uncles and really close friends from high school, and all these people I had never ever introduced to a boy.
Yeah, I think I was, maybe it was just so helpful that I was like so newly in this environment, and I was just so like naive, and I was just like, oh yeah, of course, like boys you meet on the internet and in person for like 4 days, of course he would show up at your door on graduation if your car got stolen and to like
Right.
show support. I don't know. And we hadn't even decided that we were like dating or boyfriends or anything. It was like over those like 4 or 5 days or whatever that I was there.
It was the day of my graduation party that we decided that
I was
we
like,
were
are we
going to
boyfriends?
because well the question came up. It was like, how are we going to I'm like,
I think
Michael,
your mom was like, how do I introduce this person?
right, and I'm like, Michael, how do I introduce you? Are we dating? Like, are you a friend? I don't know how I phrased it, but I'm like, we gotta figure out like because we hadn't really officially asked each other to be boyfriends
Correct.
or whatever. We didn't put a title or name to it. But I do remember my mom was like, oh, I made the guest room up for Michael. He has the whole room to himself. And I'm like, absolutely not.
And Matthew was like, you think that I'm going to have my car stolen and he's going to sleep in a different room? And she was just like, okay, whatever, fine.
Yeah. Which
The
also,
audacity.
I don't know, like, I don't know how
How
my
you got away
parents,
with that?
Yeah, I don't know how my parents allowed that either. Because it was the whole
I agree.
thing of like, wow. Wow, Matthew, a lot's been happening lately in your life. And
They're like, you know what? We don't want to deal with that. You know what? Fine.
now there's this random boy from the Midwest who has shown up at our doorstep, and now he is sharing
Sleeping in
your
the same bed.
with
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Totally normal. Totally fine. First boyfriend.
God bless your parents.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then
Then you came out and visited over the 4th of July. We met my family. We stayed in Nebraska for a little bit.
so within 2 months, both of us had met each other's families.
Yep.
We had seen our childhood homes. We had gone through some pretty significant, crazy life events together and managed to go through all of that pretty conflict free, or like at least the conflicts that were coming up, we were problem solving in a decent way, which was really interesting at like the beginning stages of a relationship. And then basically in August, we decided like, okay, well, if we're going to make this work, then we need to be together. And I'm discussing this with my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know if I can like move out to the Midwest. Like, why? I just don't know if that would work.
And I didn't have the option to move because I was starting
Dental
dental
school.
school in the fall. It was like there wasn't like a oh, just kidding. Like I'm not gonna go to dental school anymore. Like I was stuck. So I was like, well,
And my whole plan was to move back to Seattle,
but you
live
hit roadblocks.
in Capitol Hill.
Yeah. Because you were looking for like some sort of like lab position or some sort of
Right.
like, I don't know,
And
sciencey thing.
And I was looking at applying for medical school while I was like working up in Capitol Hill, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But after the shooting, my car getting stolen, and then I lost my job because my car was stolen. I couldn't get to work after that, and all that stuff. Decided, yeah, I'm not going back to Seattle. Can't even afford it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, then when when we were talking, and it was like, oh, well, you could just move out to Nebraska and we could see if things work. I was like, maybe that's not a bad idea.
I was so audacious.
Yeah.
As a 24-year-old.
So talking to my mom, I'm like, I just don't know if like, would you support me if I did that? Is that too soon? And she told me, she said, the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work out and then you just come back home.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well try.
Yay, Kim.
Like, holy crap. Yeah.
You're like, oh, I guess that is the worst thing that can happen.
I don't know if at that
Or he
point
murders you.
I had enough. Yeah, well, okay.
And
the episode of 2020.
I was going to say you get to be on
Exactly.
2020.
Oh, man. I don't know if I had the confidence at that point in time to like make that decision for myself. I really needed that extra push and that support because I loved you. And I was just so afraid.
Rightly so.
Yeah. It was just like I'm like, I am terrified.
I mean, all I had to do was just like stay put, and like just add you into life. You had to like move and find somewhere to live and adjust to this place with no friends.
But I think like all those really crazy events that occurred right when we met, that made it so much easier for me to move anyway because it made it feel like.
What did you have to lose?
Yeah, exactly.
kind
I was
of.
like now or never. What do I have to lose? Nothing really.
Or like there's nothing. Yeah, there wasn't anything like tying you down, I guess, specifically in that like moment of transition.
Not a lot of physical objects either to like move with me. So
well, yeah, that's true. You did own nothing.
Yeah. And then basically I mean I wouldn't say the rest is history, but
Lived in Nebraska for 4 years. It was a struggle.
holy crap, yeah.
Yep.
Do not recommend unless you are head over heels in love with somebody.
We made it work. You made it work. You did great. Graduated, and the deal was we moved to Oregon, which we did. And here we are, ready to become dads.
Daddies.
Crazy.
I know. It's been
It's
9
weird to
years.
fast forward it that far.
It's been 9 years since that time.
Bonkers.
Yeah.
Nebraska feels like it felt like such a long, drawn out thing for you, but it also feels like a blip, kind of.
Right.
But it was like where we tested, like all the things I think got tested.
Oh my God.
in
Yeah.
the relationship, and then we got married right before we like moved to Oregon, and then that just feels like it's kind of been like life.
And
it
we
was like a test and then life.
Consistently discussed like having a family, having kids in the future, but we
Mhm.
didn't know how we would go about it. It was just kind of like
Yeah.
this desire of like, yes, we want to have kids. We want to have a family.
Well, and I'm very process oriented, so I was like, well, let me start my job. We were renting. I was like, I don't want to start trying to find out how to have kids until we have a house. So let's wait till we get a house. We got a house May of 2020. That was a whole other ordeal. And now that we have our house and we kind of feel like somewhat settled in life, we think that we're ready to add
babies.
some kids to the mix. Other than our fur babies who are running around the house right now.
Yes.
Our cat is destroying something on the desk, and our dog is probably going to
Start barking
attack her
and-
soon.
Yeah. So I think that is our cue to wrap up.
I mean, I think that was great. A wrap up of how we met. Lots of crazy events, I think, brought us together in the beginning. And there's so much time to dive into how we decided to start our surrogacy journey and why we wanted to have family.
Yeah.
That was great.
100%.
Way to go.
So I'm going to let you close this out because I'm not familiar with how we do podcasty things yet. I'm still learning.
Oh, sure. No problem. I mean, essentially we just say like, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
We cannot wait to expand on all things us and our journey through surrogacy, and we're also going to loop in, fostering and adopting, kind of just like all of the modalities that you have as a gay couple. just to kind of give an overarching view of like, what are the options? What do they look like? What does the cost of those look like? What does the timeline look like? What are the hurdles? So I'm excited. We're going to have some really amazing like experts, some people who have gone through every part of these processes, you know, different loopholes, different struggles, bring a lot of like info, like really great information and advice on how to navigate this. So with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. And thank you for listening to the first episode of the Who's Your Daddy podcast.
The Who's Your Daddy podcast.
That's just so weird to say. We've been thinking about the podcast for a while, but it feels weird to be like, this is it. This is the podcast.
It's happening.
Who's Your Daddy?
We sat down. We're recording it.
We did it.
Yay!
Okay.
First pod done.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye everyone.